Welcome back, guys, to the Jake Ellenbogen channel. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. I am your host of this channel. I appreciate all of you guys out there that have been supporting me nonstop. This channel is growing, and I just cannot wait. I'm excited for the future. Before we get started, I would just like to bring your attention real quick. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. A lot of you I know have been reaching out and be like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize I subscribed, or I didn't subscribe." So be sure to do that if you like my videos. That way it keeps coming up on your feed. If you want to ring the bell icon, you're more than my guest to do that because you'll get all the notifications anytime I drop a video. So this one's not going to be strictly Rams this time. So my NFL subscribers, don't go away just yet. We're going to be doing. I'm going to break it up. So we have Saturday and we have Sunday. It's going to be a wild card weekend. We're looking at a triple header for both days, and we're gonna dive right into what will be the Saturday games, which will start with the Colts and the Bills. Before we do, I have a giveaway. I have a $50 Amazon gift card that I am giving away. All you have to do, basically, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to the AJ Show, brand new show. It's coming out very, very, very soon. That's all I can say. And be sure to follow the AJ Show at the AJ Show Live, and follow at JK Bogan DTSN. Those two accounts on Twitter, and you will be entered to win a $50 Amazon gift card. I'm going to post all the links below, so definitely do that, and I'll enter you in that. I can tell who has joined, and we'll do it. Maybe we'll have a giveaway right on this channel, live stream, make it fun, what have you. But we'll go into it, because I'm talking too much. Colts, Bills. Let's start with them. Playing at 105, CBS. This should be a fun game. It's an interesting game here. The Bills are 6.5-point favorites. It's also a weird dynamic here because the Bills, according to the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, will be able to have about 6,000 fans, a little bit over 6,000 fans in attendance for this game. So this is a huge game in that regard. The Bills haven't been able to play with fans all season long, and this is an actual home field advantage at this point. So it's not a ton of fans, but it's enough to argue that it's more of a home field advantage than it's been all year. Coming in this game, you have two 4,000-yard passers. You have Phillip Rivers, 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 4,169 yards. Then you have Josh Allen, 4,544 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Offensive coordinator Brian Daboll has really awoken Josh Allen, and it's been very impressive to see what he can do. Obviously, we know what he can do, from his days at Wyoming. It was always raw talent and raw potential, but what he's been able to do and putting it all together this year, it's been quite impressive and has led the Bills to a 13-3 season, whereas Phillip Rivers has kind of, he's done a nice job, but it's been a defensive effort and the running game that has kept the Colts on the track to 11-5. So the Colts did not win their division, so that is why they are playing, in Buffalo. Jonathan Taylor actually broke over 1,000 yards this season, 11 touchdowns, a very, very stellar rookie campaign. After starting out a little bit slow, he rocketed towards the front of the pack. I believe he finished third in rushing, so he's going to be huge in this game. Devin Singletary, 687 yards, 2 touchdowns, kind of a down year for the Bills rushing-wise. They also added Zach Moss. And then the receiving game, the Colts don't really have anybody that was truly dynamic this year at the receiver position. T.Y. Hilton ended up being their leading receiver with 762 yards on 56 catches and 5 touchdowns. But Stephon Diggs, who finally, I've been waiting for him. I felt like he had the potential, but he finally hit that level where you could arguably say he is elite now. 127 receptions, 1,535 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He was Josh Allen's favorite target by a mile, and he is going to be Josh Allen's favorite target in this game. So, coming in this game, you have 13-3 versus 11-5. This is a huge game for the Bills. As you know, they were turned away against Houston early on in the playoffs, but they were fun. They were exciting. That game was exciting. Unfortunately, they lost. However, this game, the Bills are now 13-3. They're the favorite in this game. They're 6.5-point favorites. the Bills right now might be my pick in the AFC. So I like the Colts. I like everything that Matt Eberflus, the defensive coordinator for the Colts, is doing. I'm a little concerned that DeForest Buckner, the interior defensive lineman, who's he's a star, is questionable. They're going to be without Rock Ya-Sin and Kari Willis, so that is a bummer there. Those are losses. On the flip side, Buffalo is going to be without Cole Beasley, so that's also a loss for them. Buffalo's 7-1 at home. They have really played well this year, and I don't think that you can count Buffalo out of really any game because of how much they can score. They're second in scoring, but here's the thing, and this is how you're going to beat Buffalo, and this is how Indy can beat Buffalo, is that Buffalo has had a hard time stopping the run. Now, on paper, this defense you would expect to be very, very, very good. However, they have not been able to stop the run as well as you would like. So for that reason, the Colts can use their running backs. They have a 1,000-yard rusher in Jonathan Taylor. They have Nyheim Hines, who's going to be a great back to use out of the backfield as a pass catcher. And then they have Jordan Wilkins, another guy that is a talented running back in that stable. So Phillip Rivers, they're not going to have Phillip Rivers throw 50 or 60 times in this game. They're going to want to mix this up, balance it out, and keep this game close, and let their defense do their job. When you have guys like Darius Leonard on that defense, you have to make something happen. Obviously, Kenny Moore, he's been huge for them. And, it's a very good defense. They're top 10 in the league. Buffalo's defense on paper should be a lot better than they are. It's not a stereotypical Sean McDermott defense, but the offensive coordinator, Brian Daboll, has really turned this team around as far as a passing team. So, in this game, you have to look early on. Josh Allen, he's going to get things going with the pass. The Colts are going to have to stop him. Personally, I don't think they're going to be able to stop him. I do think the Colts are going to be able to run the ball consistently, and I do think they'll keep this relatively close. But at the end, the Bills are going to pull away with a 31-25 win over the Colts and move on to the next round. It's not the best, obviously. Game. I mean, I know the Colts. You would expect the Bills to be able to blow a team like this out, but the Colts, I feel like, are being a little bit slept on. They are 5-3 on the road, so 3 of their 5 losses this year have come on the road. But I like this team, and I think this may not be their year. But I think eventually they're going to get a quarterback that gives them an opportunity to win any game. Right now, I think Phillip Rivers is managing games. He can still throw it down the field. 24-11 isn't awful. It's not bad, really. But he's not somebody that's going to carry you. He's somebody that you just want to, not make mistakes. And with Josh Allen, to me, that's somebody that can carry you. And that's why I really like the Bills in this game. And just moving forward, I think that they might be the toughest team in the AFC, especially the way they're playing as of late. And now we move on to the Rams and Seattle Seahawks here. Rams 6 seed taking on number 3 Seattle. Right off the cuff, you're going to see a team that, one, they have their starting quarterback pretty much locked up here with Russell Wilson. This is a team, though, that hasn't really been able to find it on the offense since the beginning of the year. They've really become more of a defensive-minded team, and you could throw the stats out the window because for the year, this is still, a top 29 defense in the league, bottom of the league. But the way they've been playing as of late, I've been noticing this is a top 5 defense, regardless of the stats, if they show it or not. You guys know I broke it down in the last video. You can check out, the Jared Goff versus John Wolford video. And I mean, it's very impressive what this defense has done since bringing over somebody like Carlos Dunlap, and then of course getting Jamal Adams back healthy. So in this one, 10-6 Rams, they're 4-4 on the road. They're taking on the 7-1 at home Seattle Seahawks, who finished 12-4. The Rams have to be kicking themselves from Week 16. Obviously, they want to take care of business, win an NFC West title. It didn't work that way. Jared Goff got up to an early lead with the Rams, 6-3, had an opportunity to take over the game, kicking the field goal or scoring a touchdown, but he threw an interception late in the first half, second quarter, and then they failed to respond. There was a stop at the goal line. And just a bunch of things that just kind of rattled up and caused Seattle to be able to move on and win the game. So looking at this one, why is this different? Well, it's different for multiple reasons. We don't know who's going to be the starter. Jared Goff actually hurt his thumb in that game. He put it back in place. He actually dislocated it. Broken bone in his thumb. He looked pretty good in practice, throwing the football. So there's a good chance he could end up playing. But if they don't go that route, John Wolford, I think, gives them the best opportunity to win this game based on just his mobility, the fact he can work off script, the fact he makes quicker decisions, and just the fact that, to me, I feel like he looks like the more comfortable quarterback looking at Week 16 and Week 17. Of course, with Jared Goff, you're getting somebody that has played in a playoff game before, and not just one. He's playing the granddaddy of them all, the Super Bowl. John Wolford has not. So you do have that dynamic going. Will the Seattle Seahawks offense catch some fire? They have raw talent, obviously. When you have guys like Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, you're bound to make something happen, right? Well, Jalen Ramsey did a nice job against Metcalf the last time, and he's done a nice job really against anybody. He's averaging 20 yards given up per game, which is the best in the league, and it's in a season where the passing attack has just absolutely skyrocketed in this season. So Jared Goff finished with 3,952 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. It is not a guarantee that he will start, but it does look that way based on the fact that he's practicing, he's throwing the ball well, it's coming out well. So if he does start, those are his numbers. Russell Wilson started off the season at a ridiculous rate, but did start to come back down to earth. But his stats still look really good and they hold up. 4,212 yards, 40 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Cam Akers and Chris Carson, pretty similar stats. Cam Akers, 145 carries for 625 yards, 2 touchdowns, whereas Chris Carson had 141 carries for 681 yards and 5 touchdowns. And then your leading receivers in this game, DK Metcalf had a ridiculous 1,300 yards receiving on 83 receptions, 10 touchdowns. And Cooper Kupp had 3 touchdowns on 92 receptions for 974 yards. Obviously, I have Robert Woods as well. You have Van Jefferson, who played a lot the last game, and Joshua Reynolds. Not to mention you have Tyler Higbee, somebody that does like to have his games against Seattle, and Gerald Everett. So there are options here. Darrell Henderson will not be in this game due to the fact he has moved to IR. But here's the dynamic, is the fact that Andrew Whitworth is going to be back. They're saying that he is going to play. There's a chance Micah Kiser could play. I don't think he'll play necessarily, and I don't think Taylor Rapp is going to play either. So in this one, you have to look at the fact that if they play with Goff, it's a different game plan. You don't have that mobility. You're going to be more calculated with your risks. Whereas if you play with Wolford's not afraid to go down the field, as you saw the last game. Wolford is not afraid to run it, so it's going to be hard. Sean McVay is not going to tell Seattle anything until he has to. And I think he said, I believe it was 139 is when he would is the deadline for him to announce the quarterback. 139 being on the West Coast. So this is a 4:40 game on Fox. Huge game. Don't know how this wasn't a primetime game, but it was not a primetime game. Again, huge game here. What you're looking at is, the fact of the matter is that the Rams beat this team earlier in the year, and they were beating this team late in the second quarter, and things kind of went, out of whack. Seattle won the game. Seattle's defense can pressure Goff or Wolford. It's hard to kind of decide, but I'm going to tell you right now, regardless of who plays, I think the Rams are the better football team, and therefore I think the Rams win the game. The Rams, they made a couple mistakes that killed this team, but in that game, they went on the road and they had that game in control. That was 6-3 with 3.5 minutes to go in the first half. Goff was driving. They're at around the 25-yard line. You kick a field, you go up 9-3. Sean McVay, again, is undefeated. I believe he's 35-0 when he's leading at halftime. So you have to like your opportunities or chances there. But no, they turned the ball over. And Seattle, of course, goes down the field, kicks a field goal. They get the ball in the second half. They score a touchdown, put pressure on the Rams. The game's different. So in this one, I don't expect it to be different. I expect this to be the better team wins. And I do think while Seattle has home field advantage, it's Seattle. They're not going to have fans in attendance. So I don't really worry too much about that. Sure, the elements, but I also don't worry too much about that. If Jared Goff plays in the elements, I've seen them put up 51 points on the Giants in the elements, so I'm not exactly worried about that. I am worried about Cam Akers. So the last game, he runs for 1.6 yards per carry. That's not going to cut it. Seattle does a great job of defending the run. They're a top 5 run defense in this league. And that's just, in general, like that's actually a statistical thing. So because they're so good at stopping the run, and because that's how poorly Cam Akers played the last game, including the fumble, and keep in mind, he is coming off a high ankle sprain, and not coming off, he still probably has it. You have to keep that in mind. If they don't get the run game going, it's going to be harder on Jared Goff or John Wolford, whoever they go with. I think they should go with Wolford. I feel like they're going to go with Goff, but we'll see. Regardless, though, I think they win. This is the best defense in all of football, and I'm not talking about Seattle. I think they're a top 5, but the Rams have the best defense in all of football. To me, getting Brockers back, getting Kupp back on the offense is going to be huge for with the COVID thing. But Michael Brockers is going to be absolutely huge as well. Morgan Fox stepped up, had a sack in his absence last week. You saw the emergence of Ashawn Robinson, and I think things like that you have to keep in mind. Is that Ashawn Robinson somebody that was he missed pretty much the entire season, came back towards the end. Now he's in football shape, so you're getting these guys back. You're getting Whitworth back. You're getting Kupp. You're getting Brockers. Ashawn is in game shape. And you have to feel good. I mean, obviously, you'd love to have Darrell Henderson going. That's not going to be the case since he's on IR. So at the end of the day, I see Brandon Staley's defense being too much for Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson has had good performances in the playoffs, and he has won when he's had bad performances. But I think the Rams are going to have a nice game plan set up. I think they struck gold with John Wolford, and I do think they should roll with him. But even if they roll with Goff, they're rolling with Goff because they believe he can win. And I'm going to trust the coaching staff. If he's out there to play, he must be fine. If he's not, then you have to pull him. Go with Wolford. I still think they win this game. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be very ugly. I have 20-13 Rams. Pretty much your standard Rams Seattle game. A lot of defense. You really have to strike on offense, and they are going to strike on offense. So 20-13 LA Rams over the Seattle Seahawks in this one. And Seattle has a 3.5 point favorite on the Rams. I don't care. I'm going to go with the Rams here, regardless of whether I'm a fan or not. I do like this team a lot, and I don't love Seattle. I love their defense, but their offense, you're either going to realize it or you're not. But I realized it early on that this offense was trending downward and the defense was flip-flopping, and I still expect that to be the case. But the Rams are going to win this 20-13. All right, so on to Tampa Bay and Washington. This is the primetime game. This is NBC. This is the Tom Brady versus Alex Smith game. This is also the one I thought that should have been flexed into the 4:40 slot, whereas you have a division rivalry, whatever. I misspoke, and I probably said the Bears and Saints. They're on Sunday. Tampa Bay and Washington football team. This is the game. So Washington gets in. They're going to host a playoff game at 7-9. They were 3-5 at home. Buccaneers are 6-2 on the road at 11-5. Tom Brady had himself a year. 4,633 yards, 40 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Alex Smith, not so much with his 1,582 yards, 6 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. They had serious contributions out of Ronald Jones, who almost hit 1,000 yards with 978 on 192 carries, 7 touchdowns. Antonio Gibson was well on his way, 170 carries, 795 yards, 11 touchdowns. He, of course, got hurt, and that's why he didn't end up finishing with over 1,000. Mike Evans got to 1,000, a little bit over 1,000, 1,006 on 70 catches, 13 touchdowns. He left the game due to injury last week. And then Terry McLaurin, who went over 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns on 87 receptions. Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson are going to have to ball out if they want to win this football game. But it doesn't stop there. Washington has a great defense. They're one of the best defenses in all football. They have some monster brutes up front. You have guys like, Daron Payne, and you have guys like, Chase Young. So when you talk about those guys, and then of course, you look at somebody like a Montez Sweat, you have to feel good about what you have, obviously on this defense and guys that are going to be able to rush the passer. And guys like Kevin Pierre-Louis, I think, have been playing pretty well this year that don't get enough credit. And as well as other guys, Jimmy Moreland, Cameron Curl, the rookie. So they're getting some good production all over the place. Tampa Bay, however, is also a pretty good defense. Now, against the pass, they've kind of struggled a little bit. But stopping the run, that's been their bread and butter this year. And that is a worry. That is a concern for an Antonio Gibson, who hasn't really played in a while. So, Antonio Gibson, I'd be shocked if he misses this. I know he's questionable or what have you. I'd be shocked if he misses this game. Antonio Gibson's going to be huge because his ability as a receiver as well as a runner. And, bottom line is Washington is going to have to, without a doubt, they're going to have to be able to balance out their game enough where their defense is able to make Tom Brady and company pay, but they can come back on the field, take a ton of time off the clock, just run it down their throat. If they can establish the run early on, then maybe use a play action here and there, they can win this game. I think this is the biggest upset alert game of the weekend, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa blows them out, but this to me is an upset alert game because you never expect it, and the way the playoffs work is sometimes you don't expect things that happen. So with Washington, it's kind of like they have nothing to lose, everything to gain. Sure, they're hosting a playoff game, but they know they're 7-9. They're not, on the same level record-wise as a Tampa Bay, who is a 5th seed. Look, they have a chance to win this football game. Okay, it is possible. Right now, Tampa Bay is 8-point favorites, and they're on the road, so Vegas isn't buying it. But if Tom Brady's under pressure and you can force, like a Montez Sweat or a Chase Young can force, a turnover, they could do something. You have a guy like Jonathan Allen that I really like that I think could make something happen as well. I just really like that defensive front. And for me, this Washington team, next year they could be a player. I don't see them winning a Super Bowl, okay? Of all the teams I listed, they're the least likely of these 3 games. But I can tell you right now, if they pressure Tom Brady enough and force him to make poor decisions like the Rams did, and their defense is similar to the Rams, it gave him problems, they can win this football game. They can steal this. Alex Smith has to play very, very well, though. He has to play solid football. He's averaging more interceptions than touchdowns this year, so he has to clean that up. And I think if that all happens, you could be seeing an upset. Now, here's the thing. I don't know where Mike Evans is going to be. He did get hurt last week, but it's not like Tom Brady doesn't have weapons with Chris Godwin and the way Gronk has played this season. So there's going to be weapons there for sure, and you're going to have to try and test this secondary. This is also the same team, regardless of how you want to look at it, that might have lost to the Eagles had they not thrown the game late in the game. So, I don't really know what to make of this team. I think they could do, a myriad of things. But I think, they really have to make sure that they play, a very balanced attack. I think when you look at this Buccaneers team with the stars on the defensive side of the ball, and it just goes from guys like Shaq Barrett and, Jason Pierre-Paul to guys like Carlton Davis, guys like, you have Sean Murphy-Bunting, and not to mention the rookie, Antoine Winfield Jr. So they have guys, Levante David as well. It's a loaded roster, okay? Washington has a loaded defense. Tampa Bay has a loaded roster on both sides. And I do like their offensive line as well. So in this game, how is it going to go? How do I see it going? Well, unfortunately for Washington, I can't pick them to win. I can see them winning. I can't pick them to win. I'm going to go with the Buccaneers, and I'm going to go with a relatively high score for the Buccaneers considering how good Washington is as a defense. Originally, I wanted to go with like 17-14, but I just don't see it. I could see them winning, but I feel like it's more likely if I'm going to predict this and I'm going to try to be right, Alex Smith, I don't think is going to play all that well. He hasn't this year. And, I can't really fault him how many surgeries he had. It's just a miracle he came back and led his team to the playoffs. I mean, this is a great story. So, at the end of the day, I have Tampa Bay. They end up taking the win 27-17. Obviously they can score more. They've scored 40 before. They've scored 40 plus. But in this one, I think 27-17 is where I like it. Tom Brady has a tendency to turn the ball over when he gets rattled. I do think the Washington football team can rattle him, but I don't think it'll be enough. So I have Tampa Bay 27-17. Expect a big game from Chris Godwin, who I think really started to connect with Tom Brady last week, in that one. So that is it for those three. I will have the three on Sunday, either tomorrow or the next day. We will get that out to you. But just wanted to get the first three games out, and just that way it's out there. You guys are ready. It's all fun and everything. And then you guys can come back and roast me if anything I said was just wrong. Like I did, right from the start with Chicago and New Orleans. But I'm really excited for this channel. I can't stress it enough. A lot of people were like, you should do a film breakdown. And then I did it, and then I gotta tell you, because I couldn't really explain it. I couldn't edit. Let's just put it this way. I couldn't edit the previous video. So if you saw Goff versus Wolford, I couldn't edit that. I couldn't even put it in Final Cut Pro because it was so big. Because I'm an idiot, I recorded a 2.5 hour film breakdown, like no takes whatsoever, just one. I recorded it, and then I tried to put it in Final Cut Pro, and it kept crashing my computer. So I actually uploaded it. I'm sure you realize by now. I uploaded it to YouTube, straight to YouTube, without any sort of edits whatsoever. And then I saw all those spots and everything, and like the distortions. So the fact that you guys like that, really appreciate it. You understood that, like, I put work into it. Love that so much. So I'll be doing that a lot during the draft season. And who knows, I'll probably be doing it more, the next game we'll talk about, maybe go over the Rams Seahawks, maybe go over all of these playoff games and kind of break it down. But I'm definitely excited for that. But if you guys enjoy, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon if you want to know right off the cuff. Again, I have to mention AJ Show giveaway, $50 Amazon card. You guys can do it. I know you can. I cannot wait to give this thing away. I'm just glad, to be interacting with such a great community. I really am appreciative of you guys. I can't stress that enough. And I'll be back as soon as humanly possible to come out with another video. Because now you guys have me wanting to come out with a video like every day. Before it was like every week. Now I feel like it's every day. This thing is growing. Let's keep it going. Appreciate you guys. You guys take care. And if I don't talk to you soon, enjoy Wildcard Weekend. Later, guys.